guys, in this hair tutorial I'm going to be sharing with you the silk press styling techniques. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and apply my styling product for the blow drying process. As I mentioned before, I'm using the Design Essential Step 4 Weightless Heat Protecting Serum. So I'm going to do 3 pumps of the serum, and then I'm going to do 3 pumps of the Thermal Protect Cream. So this will add a little bit of moisture I want to see in the hair, and that's going to just be gently applied throughout the hair. With your products with the silk press, you can't afford to put too much product because these products are very heavily concentrated. If you put too much, it is going to become very smoky in the room where you're going to blow dry. So you just want to work that through the hair. So I'm just gently pressing into the hair. Still have some products in my hand here, and I'm just taking it through the hair, focusing from the roots, and then I'll bring that through to the ends of the hair. If you feel that you need a little bit more product, you can go ahead and add maybe 1 more or 2 more pumps of just the lightweight serum, the Step 4 product, that's the clear one. And again, I'm just going to put that through just to the ends of the hair there. And then I'm going to section this hair into 4 and then proceed and start my blow drying. So my blow drying, I'm going to start from the back of the head and I'm going to work my way to the front. So it's easier to work in 4 sections. If the hair is much more thicker, then by all means you can do more than 4 sections. As long as it's enough for you to actually be able to handle and hold in your hand. When I start to blow dry this, I'll be blow drying the hair with my dryer at maximum heat and maximum airflow as well. And try your best to make sure you get that root area really nice and straight to start off with, because that's going to help us with the process of making sure that the hair is going to straighten as much as possible. Okay, like I said, Janelle's hair is in a relatively straight condition, so it's made my work a little bit more easier. If you're working on type 4 hair that is tightly coiled, you will have to work a little bit more to really get that smooth finish that we want with our blow drying. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the fork attachment, just a few take-throughs on the root area with the fork attachment, and then I'm just going to finish everything else with my paddle brush. So the hair is nice and straight from the roots all the way to the ends, and like I said, you just want to alternate between your fork attachment first and then going in with your paddle brush. So I would recommend that you do the whole head with the fork attachment first, and then you change over to the other attachment and use your paddle brush to make sure everything is nice and smooth. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish blow drying this hair, and then we'll come back and then we'll talk through the actual straightening process. Okay, so my model Janelle's hair has been blow dried and smoothed out with the fork attachment, and then I focus more on the root area with my paddle brush. As you can see, the hair is nice and straight, and we can already see that silkiness and the movement that we want to have in the hair. One thing I'll mention is that when you're doing your silk press, the level of silkiness and movement you're going to see is dependent on what hair texture you're working on. Because the hair texture is multi-textured hair, combination of a 3C, a little bit of a 4A, it allows us to have that movement already because of that reason. Whereas if it was your type 4B, 4C hair texture, it's naturally kinky coiled, you're not necessarily going to have exact same silkiness and movement, although we can achieve that straight finish that we want to see in the hair. So always keep that in mind. If, for example, in the salon, someone comes in and they're referencing someone with a hair texture that is not similar to theirs, the hair could be straight, but it's not going to exactly look the same way as what they see in a picture or in a video, because that person has got multi-textured hair, and it may be a 4A hair texture that's a little bit more lighter and straightens quite easily, and they've got like a 4C hair. So just keep that in mind. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to section a hair. So I'm just sectioning a hair straight in half here, because we just want to be able to work from side to side, okay? We don't want to necessarily have, you don't necessarily want to just have it straight, because with the middle part here, you can always move that when you do the final styling of the hair. So I'm not necessarily leaving that middle parting, I'm just sectioning the hair completely in half so I can get started with the process of styling the hair. What we're going to be doing is I'm going to be moving from one side to the other, and I'm going to take my time and straighten the hair, working in small sections. You're not able to really go in with like very large section, because we want to allow the hair to be as straight as possible. Especially if the hair was tightly coiled, you want to work in slightly smaller section, because this will affect how straight the hair is actually going to be. Okay, working in small sections, we're going to start the straightening process. So I'm just sectioning that out nice and clear at the back there. And what we're going to do is, if you feel that the hair is a little bit dry towards the end, you can take a little bit more serum and apply it through the hair. But what I want you to be aware of is that the more products you put, the more smoky it's going to be. So just be careful that you don't put too much product in the hair. So what we're aiming to do with the silk press is we're trying to get that hair as straight as possible, especially from the roots all the way to the ends of the hair. With your straighteners, you want to make sure that you have straighteners that allow you to adjust the heat. And these ones here, the Cloud 9, the heat goes up to 240. Most of the time, if you're straightening your kinky coiled hair texture, you're going to work with the level of heat at 240. You want it to be as hot as possible. If you try and do this with heat at 200 degrees, it's likely not going to achieve the straight finish that we want to actually see in the hair. So the main thing I'm going to do first is to focus on the root area there. So I'll just demonstrate this with my fingers first before I actually use the straighteners. With my straighteners, I'm going to be going in directly to the root, and I'm going to smooth around the root area 3 times. And then I'll go back in with my comb, and then a 4th time we'll start from the roots, and then we'll gently work our way through very, very slowly through to the ends of the hair. The movement of your straighteners has to be very slow to allow the heat level to stay on the hair for a while. This is how we achieve that straight finish without you having to go over the hair so many times. We want to reduce the risk of damaging the hair by not spending too much time with the heat on the hair, but at the same time we need the heat to be very high to allow the process to achieve the result that we want to see in the hair. And what I also recommend is try your best to hold the hair between your index finger and your middle finger, so that you have a little bit more tension that you can apply to the hair. Because if I'm just holding the hair now, you can see there's a little bit of wave texture on the root there. But if I hold it up and raise it and pull slightly, not in a way that's painful, but just creating that tension here, it allows you to start the process of aiding the straightening a little bit more. Because I'm slightly pulling on the hair, the straighteners will come through there, and then we're able to just work that through seamlessly. So we just get a nice straight finish from the get-go. So I'll go in now with my straighteners. Because we've applied product, there will be a level of smokiness that you see during this process. Again, we're not causing damage to the hair, we're not burning the hair. It's just where the product comes in contact with the heat, it's going to become a little bit smoky. You see this whenever you're working with most of your Afro hair products. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure the hair is combed out, holding the hair up sort of like a 45-degree angle, 60 or 90-degree angle, depending on how you're standing and positioning yourself. Holding it away from the scalp and away from the nape area. I'm going to go in gently with my straighteners 3 times around the root area there. Because I'm holding the hair up, I'm able to get a little bit more closer to the root area without burning the person, okay? Now we'll go in the 4th time, and I'm taking through this very, very slowly, slowing down a little bit more as I get to the ends of the hair, going in with my comb, just combing that through and checking the hair, maybe just taking it gently one more time. Okay, so we get that nice straight finish all the way from the roots to the ends of the hair. okay? I'll demonstrate that a few more times so we can see how we're doing that. Again, because I'm working with my wide plate straighteners, I can take my sections a little bit more, not necessarily thick, but I would say it's about ½ an inch in terms of the width or the thickness of the section. Just holding it nice and tightly tensioned at the root area there, smoothing it through, taking it through very slowly. Again, you notice that there's a bit of smoke coming through there, but that's all part and parcel with the straightening process and because of the products that we use, okay? So we just gently comb that in, and you can see that we've got a nice shine working through the hair because of the product, and also because the straighteners that we're using, they're very good straighteners, so they aid in adding that shine that we want to see in the hair. So this is what we're going to be doing just from one side to the other. And one thing you notice I'm not doing is I'm not creating any root lift. I'm not turning the straighteners on the ends. I'm not aiming to put any curl at the moment. All I'm focused on is just achieving that straight finish on the hair. Because once the hair is nice and straight, that's when I'll go in and then put in any curls or the wave or anything that you want to do. So I don't want to see you kind of curving the straightener. You just want to keep it nice and even and straight all the way through. I'm going to be working from this part here roundabout to the crown area and then come to the other side, and then I'll alternate until everything is nice and straight. And then once the hair is straight, I will be giving Janelle's hair a nice tidy up on the ends there, just giving it a nice trim so that we can just get a nice thickness, evenness with the thickness from the roots all the way to the ends. The hair is thinned out, it's got a little bit of split ends on the ends. So that's something that we can always do at the end before we do the final styling of the hair. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to do the straightening process, working my way from the back, just as I demonstrated here, working in small sections, being mindful to take that straightener through very slowly, not rushing through the process, because the second time around, we can then do that in slightly bigger sections and work our way as quickly as we can.